Okay, so this is a Tyan based AMD Opteron system. The sticker right here. It says it's a Opteron 4122 that came in this one. And I pulled one of the chips out, so it does boot with just a single processor on board. That would be this one. This one is empty, but we keep the heatsink populated. There's a slot here for a 40 gigabyte SSD module, which is populated. You can see the MSSD on a riser board right there. And let's see, it also has 2 ports right here for USB 2.0. It's set up for disk on modules, so we can set up a pair of 2 gigabytes, a pair of 4 gigabytes, or a pair of 8 gigabytes there, or a single of each, or of any of those configurations. So the 2 Opteron sockets are C32. They each have 4 sticks of DDR3 available. What I have in here right now is a set of Micron 2 gigabytes, so there's 4 gigs in here right now. And you can see right here, that is part of the motherboard right there, which goes through and mates with a high density connector to the backplane, which was made by MyTac. This whole chassis is kind of made by MyTac, but this is a Tyan board. Let's see if I can find the... yeah, there it is. Let's see if we can get... There. It's an S8229W, I think. S8229WP 6B2-RBB. So that's really the only indication on here that this machine ever came from Riverbed. You can see the Tyan fan controller board here, which also mates with a lower density connector to the backplane there. Let's see if I can get in there a little bit easier. Not really. But yeah, you can see that that's a high density connector right there. There's a WinBond chip right there, and this guy right here is a SAS expander to bring this up from 8 channels. I'm thinking this silver one is the LSI SAS 2008 chip, along with its 8-pin ROM right here. This guy. And then this I think right here is a PLX PCI expander, which hooks up to these 4, I believe these are Intel 82576 EBs. 82574Ls, sorry. Okay. So these are the bypass ports. I do have software drivers for them. And then you have 2 gigabit ports, which are non-bypass, and a IPMI remote port. On most of these guys, they do have IPMI. This is the VGA header right here, this unpopulated one. But most of these guys have it cut out, but it's unpopulated. There's also a serial port, and this power switch controls everything. So, let me stick the risers back in place, or hold on, yeah, let me put the fans back in place. And the CPU hood goes on kind of right like that. And the only really cables that are in this case is literally just this power connector that goes from the dual PSU distribution board over to the motherboard. Come on there. That's the only thing that kind of sucks about this thing is getting this thing back in place. There we go. Okay, so that's like that. And this one is 2 X8s, all fully pinned. The back is removed, as you can see right there, so that you can install longer cards in this. So yes, you can fit a PCI Express X16 in there. It will only use X8 though. Let's kind of get that lined back up in its slot. And just gently lock it in place. And then that screws in place here. And voila. Some of these will come with a MSI VGA card. Unfortunately, the HDMI port is blocked off, but the VGA and DVI is available, and it is a AMD 5450. So that's a Radeon HD 5450. And let's just kind of put this back up so it doesn't get in the way as we slide this one back in place. And there's another 3 X8 slots on here. You can see this board is actually a little bit elongated to give you that extra X8 slot. So there's an X8, a second X8 that the video card's in, and then a third one. There we go. And then the lid switch is right there, kind of in the center of the unit. And there it is from the back. We have 2 redundant power supplies. And if I pull one of these, well, I don't have any power. So let's let the capacitor discharge there. There it goes. And you can see that this is a pretty hefty damn power supply. It is a Delta DPS 770CB, so standard Delta, that's good. It is universal. It will take up to 5 amps at 240 volts or 10 amps at 120. It puts out a massive 62.5 amps of 12 volt power and 4 amps on 5 volt standby. And this chassis can take 2. So, if we flip the switch right here, because I set the BIOS on this machine not to power on, it is not going to start up, so let me walk around. To the front of the chassis. And here is the backplane. There's your status button, which will change your the lights on the back to match this. These are a pair of 4 terabyte SAS drives that we are testing in here. And you can see all the SAS connectors there, and here's the power connector. Let's start this up, shall we? And let's slip around again to the other side. Grab this VGA cable and plug it in. Is this the right port? Ah, there it is. Alright, so there's the LSI 2008 starting up. Grab this. And that's my software. So let's get a fresh reboot going on here. There we go. It has PXE and iSCSI boot for both of the gigabit adapters. That would be these two. It will not boot off of any of the others. Yeah, here we go. And there we go. AMI BIOS. So we can see that this machine has a single 4180 in it at 2.6 gigahertz and 4 gigs of memory. The date is correct. Those do ACPI 3.0. You can switch it into headless mode. It has plenty of sensors, and I mean plenty of sensors. 3 pages of sensors. It has IPMI 2.0, which does support VLAN. Some of them don't. You can also alert local users if the BMC is connected to, and set a watchdog port as well. It is by default set up to do 115.8N1 over COM1 for the virtual serial port. It's got USB 2.0. And you can see all 6 ports there, including the onboard SAS. The AST2150 is the board management controller. It's Matrox G400 implementation for the drivers. So if you try to resize Windows, it kind of blits really horribly, but that's really the only major issue with it. And then there's the PCI PNP. Boot settings. It will force to boot from the disk on module if that's set. You can see in this case the Intel Value SSD, the USB device you saw earlier is in there, and both the SSD and the other one there. Under security, it does support standard password protection, but it's kind of useless. So under chipset is where you can actually get at the real meat, like being able to change your ECC configuration. I have it set at super, so all of my memory will be scrubbed roughly every 8 hours. DRAM timing, it's set at auto. Let's go in there and set that at manual and see what we get. Okay, just clock speed. Southbridge. There is your USB ports, your on-chip SATA, and here is where you set the status for the power button.
NMI button, the non-maskable interrupt, that means the reset button. If you disable this, you cannot press reset to restart the computer. Chassis intrusion will notify the BMC if the system was intruded or not. And then I think an RD890 is a PCI Express expansion controller. And you can set all of the link state and Gen 1, Gen 2 modes, and so on and so forth. And that's pretty much it. Oh, hypertransport. Because this is a Opteron system. And that's pretty much it. I guess perhaps I'll go through the F11 boot menu. Or no, actually, here, I'll show you the LSI SAS control page. Alright, I guess it's already set to boot. Okay, well, that's it. I'll just shut the power off, and that's that. Oh, yes, it also does show you the postcode here. Let me fire that up. Oh, I guess that would be more helpful. Oops. There we go.